Hello, my name is Tom Salmon and I work at LogRhythm as a sales engineer. What I'd like to talk to you about today is how you can detect endpoint security threats with LogRhythm, what kind of data we can take in, and how you can investigate that when something goes wrong. So what I'll show you at the moment is an example of what you might see in a normal attack. We're showing you a desktop right now. What we're going to do is we're going to attack it via a phishing email. We're going to expand. We're going to find some other targets and attack those as well. We're then going to see what LogRhythm does. We'll then flip over to LogRhythm itself and we'll see what we can find and do an investigation. So the first thing I'm going to do is send myself a phishing email. Somewhere around 70 to 80% of attacks start directly or indirectly through a phishing email. They're great because with a phishing email, all you have to do is send out thousands and thousands of emails to all of your users. The great thing is that eventually someone will open one. If someone's opening it, eventually a percentage of those people will open the attachments as well. So here we've opened the attachment inside of it, and it looks like a status tracking email. Really easy to send out, really easy to open. What we've done is we know there's a particular vulnerability in Adobe Reader that we've exploited. We've kept it on a fixed version, and we know that it runs every time in our controlled environment. Right now, a small piece of code is running in the background just in memory, talking to our command and control server that we host and own in our own lab environment. All it's doing is saying, hello, I'm online, I'm talking back to you, what would you like me to do next? What I want to do is I want to land and expand. I want to try and find what else is around this host and what else is more interesting. Step one of that process is to gain persistence. What I need to do is I need to try and make sure I can keep on coming back. If you look on the left side of my screen right now, you can see that it says malware callback received, because the malware that we are running now in memory has talked back to our command and control server and said it's online. So what I'm going to do is install the malware kit. I can click next, and what it's going to do is leave behind a few traces of log messages. To become persistent, it's had to write a file to disk, it's created a new process, started the process, and inserted an auto-run registry key to make it start at boot time. That's 4 different logs that we've picked up using our agent that you can optionally install to get you extra visibility into what's happening inside a host. Things you'd normally miss if you were relying on just the Windows event log to tell you when things changed. Next up, we're going to scan the local network. What we're trying to find is local SSH servers we could potentially attack. So what we've done is we've just run an Nmap style scan, scanning the local subnet for port 22. The thing you'll notice if you look at the logs is this is very abnormal activity. A Windows desktop doesn't normally communicate on port 22 and very rarely does a port scan on the local network. It's outside the normal policy and profile for what you'd expect from this host. Now we've got a list of hosts, what I want to do is I want to dig in and find out what other information there is and see maybe I can get into any of them. So the next up, I want to do a brute force. I'm going to try the root account on some SSH servers. I'm going to try some default passwords. Password 1, Hunter 2. Maybe I'll go on LinkedIn or Facebook and find out your favorite football team or the kind of car that you drive to see if we can find out, is there an easy way in? In the background, what LogRhythm is doing is it's collating this information and building a picture of risk. It can see all of the attacks that are happening. It can see the SSH activity and the failed logons. From here, it can categorize it, and it realizes that so much risk has happened from this particular server, we need to take an action. What we've done is we've taken an automatic response to this action, and we've gone and locked down this host. The way it works is we've talked to this Windows PC remotely, we've updated the Windows firewall, and we've actually stopped it from connecting to that particular host automatically and silently. The key theme here is that someone did get in. An attacker was successful, but only temporarily for a few minutes. We've actually managed to stop it from causing any further disruption or any service loss or data loss very quickly without the person using their PC even being aware or stopping doing their job. So let's flip over to LogRhythm and see what we can see. So when LogRhythm sees risk, it gives everything a percentage risk score. You can see here we have 97% risk. That's almost the highest possible risk in LogRhythm because we find this is significant. The way we calculate risk is a number of factors. There's about 30 different variables, but the main variables is we look at the kind of connection. If it's coming from the outside and it's public address, we can look at the risk of that particular IP address. Is it a known threat list IP address? Is it a country that we trust or we don't trust? The host that's being connected to internally, we can also give a weighting to those networks and tell it how much we trust or untrust those particular servers or zones. For example, users on the Wi-Fi with their iPhones, you don't care so much about. Your main finance servers, you probably do care a lot about. We put those factors in and more and we work out the percentage risk. From here, I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to build a case. Then secondly, we're going to investigate this alarm and find out exactly what happened. So on the left side of every screen, you can find the Cases button. You click on Cases and expand it, and you can build a new case. So for the time being, we're just going to call this Suspicious PC. You can give every case a priority from 1 being high to 5 being low. For now, I'm going to rate this a 2. We can always regrade it later on and change it up or down depending on what we find. When you've got a case, you want to gather evidence. So first of all, the alarm I'm starting with, this goes into the alarm over here, into the case. And then also with it, we could add a note. We say, okay, starting investigation. And this is a great audit trail. So if you're running a SOC or an IT team, you can work together and collaborate through the information and see who's working on it. You can also add files as well. So if you captured a sample of malware, if you captured some suspicious phishing email, you could store it with this as an evidence locker of what's been going on. You can also tag it and choose what's related to, so you could say it's brute force, or you can make a new tag for yourself as well and add those into the system. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to close the Cases tab for the time being and put it to one side and start our investigation. The top right of every alarm, there's a drill down button. You click on drill down, it will find all of the related logs to this particular alarm. Why did it fire and where did it come from? So the results are done, it's a fairly fast system. We click on the drill down and we get a view of all of the related information summarized from different perspectives. The idea being you're looking for related information. If you've got 5 or 6 different events or alarms, but they all relate to one particular host or one particular user, that's quite suspicious. The whole interface is drag and drop and easy to use, so you can move things around and reorder that data to however you want to see it. If something's not big enough, you can resize it and rescale it so the amount of information is available for you, so you can get everything in the screen. Usually what I want to do is drill into a bit more detail. So at the bottom, I can open up the logs. From here, I can get down to the detailed information and find exactly what's happening. One of the key things in LogRhythm is what we call common events. This is the classification we apply to events. If someone logs in, if someone deletes a file, if someone does some kind of change to some system, it will be tagged in the logical reason. So it doesn't matter if it comes from Windows or Linux or a proprietary system you built yourself, it will always be a failed logon. Very easy to understand. So in this case, we can see the events that I did myself. We can see the phishing email, we can see the process that was changed, we can see a registry key, we can see the multiple events that were being fired, and also the port scan. If we look, for example, at the registry key, we can choose to filter on it as well. And we can look at the details on the right-hand side and see where did the request come from and where did it go to. In this case, it was itself. If we scroll down, we can actually see the specific information of which particular registry key was changed and what was placed into that registry key. From here, what I want to do is find out what was actually happening on this host and who was on it. So if we go to identity, what we can find out under this particular item is that this user is related in a few different logs. So here we can see that this user T Salmon is active doing something. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a pivot. And I want to find out everything that this user's been up to. I want to see whatever he's been doing in the last hour and for 1 hour after this particular event. So if I click on search, what it'll do is a drill down. It'll go to all of my log repositories and it will find every log related to this user, regardless of what host it was. So again, we're going back to common events. We want to find out what has this user been up to and where have they been active. So we can see here the common event. Let's expand it right out so we've got all the details. So now we've got a summary of everything this user's done everywhere across the network. From here, you might want to look at one particular item, such as user logon failures. From there, you can double click, you can drill down and find out which host they were active on. You can find out where they came from and where they went to. At this point, I think I found related information to our case. So what I'm going to do is pop open the Cases tab on the left side. I'm going to click on Add Logs. With Add Logs, what I'm going to do is put a description is related user activity, and then add it into my case. So with my evidence locker, I've started with my alarm, but that wasn't the root cause. We've now found relevant information adjacent to it that seems pertinent to store with the case. So what we can see now is a summary of all the cases that have been opened. The cases dashboard gives us an overview on metrics. We can see how many cases were opened and by what priority. So was it an incident? Is it closed yet? We can also see how many became significant incidents as well in the last 10 days or 30 days, customizable. You can also optionally filter these by tags. If you tag them by a particular environment or a customer, or you tagged it with a particular case name, you could go and filter that as well and see those trends. In my case, we want to look at this case that we've been opened, and we can see that I've had it open for 4 minutes now. So we can see the timing, and we can match this against KPIs and SLAs. The top right, we have collaborators. Collaborators generally means that you want to work together with someone. So in this case, I want one of my colleagues to help me out. When I click Add, he'll get an email saying that Tom Salmon needs some help. Please can you review this case with him? Here's a link to log in and look at the details, and you can work together on it. I could also send this out to a group of people, and those users in LogRhythm can be synced from Active Directory and LDAP sources so they can be centralized together so that you can actually see everyone that's in the system and you can build their roles around them. Certain people can have different permissions to different sets of data inside LogRhythm. So in summary, what we've done is we've had an alarm flag up on suspicious activity that was correlated information. Multiple changes happened inside the host, and we found it suspicious. We investigated the alarm, which had a 97% risk. We've created a case, and we found related information off to the side based on our forensic drill down. Thank you very much.